Staying alone in a big city like Bombay, I thought I will be having the time of my life. Friends, parties, independence and whatnot. You know what comes with independence? Bills. Until 3 years ago, I never had to care about having to pay for essentials like my light, fan or fridge. And now it burns a hole in my heart every time I have to pay a bill. At a time when the prices of almost everything are skyrocketing thanks to increasing population, global tensions and the big one, inflation. The last thing we need is for our electricity bill to get more expensive. But why will our electricity bill get expensive? Let me tell you. India is on the brink of a looming power crisis for the second time since October. Coal reserves have hit critically low levels in almost 12 states. The heat wave is getting worse by the day and the demand for power is only increasing. We all need an AC to survive the heat, right? That kind of luxury comes at a price. Not only that, there's a revival in economic activities post the pandemic, rising household incomes, growing EV space and the demand for digital devices, all of these only call for more power. And guess what? Domestic power demand hit a 38-year high in the first half of April. This comes at a time when domestic coal stocks are drying up and import costs are rising due to global tensions. Your big city metropolitan peeps cannot imagine having power cuts for more than half an hour. But now, even they are being subject to power cuts. On the other hand, many smaller cities, towns and villages across the country are seeing ridiculously long hours of power cuts and blackouts. As a result, the economy is taking a hit and industries, companies and even you and I will have to shell out more money, not just for electricity but daily commodities as well. Now, India has 173 thermal power plants spread across different states. The coal situation in 105 of these plants is critical. The CEA marks the plant critical when the current coal stock is less than 25% against the normal levels of coal stock. Of these 105 critical plants, 85 of them depend on domestic coal and 11 depend on imported coal. Union Minister Prahalad Joshi recently tweeted that currently India has enough coal to last about a full month. The Power Ministry also said the maximum power supplied across the country crossed the 201 gigawatt mark. The government and stakeholders are putting their best effort to meet the rising demand. While this is on a national level, let's take a look at what the situation is like at a state level. States like Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, Jharkhand and Haryana are facing heavy power cuts almost as long as 8 hours in some places. Tamil Nadu is facing a power shortage of about 2,500 megawatts. Major cities are also seeing 2 to 3 hour long power cuts almost every day for about 10 days now. Haryana saw a rise in power supply by 15 to 20%. The demand is still not being met. In Bihar, the demand increased by nearly 9% but the supply was not met and that did not increase. Rajasthan might have to resort to blackouts if they don't get help. 4 of Karnataka's major thermal power plants have critically low stock of coal. In UP, the power demand reached around 21,000 megawatts, whereas the supply is only between 19 to 20,000 megawatts. Maharashtra has a power deficit that stands at around 2,500 megawatts. Another reason for the shortage of coal supply in the state is the limited number of rail carriages. The state requires around 37 trains per day, each carrying 4,000 metric tons of coal, but they're only receiving about 26 trains. In Punjab, 2 units of the GVK Goindwal Sahib thermal power plant that generates 340 megawatts of power have been shut down. Whereas in Jammu and Kashmir, people have started protesting against the unscheduled power cuts. The Jammu Chamber of Commerce and Industry also warned that consumers will stop paying the bills if the crisis is not resolved soon. But what got us neck deep into such a huge crisis? There's a natural increase for the demand for power during summer, but given the critical situation that India is in, the demand-supply gap is also increasing. For more power, we need more coal, but there is a shortage in the supply of coal. Coal demand increased by 9% over the last year due to high temperatures. Power shortage in India increased to 1.4% over last October when it stood at 1.1%. India is heavily dependent on coal-based power generation. More than half of India's total power comes from coal. Owing to the Russia-Ukraine war, international coal prices are soaring, because of which India's dependency on domestic coal has only risen in the past few months. But the problem is, Domestic production of coal is majorly dependent only on one player, which is Coal India. Coal India increased its production levels, but still they're unable to meet the high demand. Just in the first half of April, the company hiked supply to coal-based plants to almost 14.2%. Heavy rainfall last year and a low number of coal workers is also a reason for the gap in demand and supply. In the first half of April, power plants had an average coal stock for 9 days. Technically, they should have coal for at least 24 days. The number was the same even during the October crisis, but that being a winter period, the demand was relatively lesser. Also, due to high import costs, coal imports fell by about 9% last year, and most companies started a shift to domestic coal. Central government will allow the entire cost of imported coal for independent power producers as a pass-through till December 2022. Karnataka is mixing renewable and non-renewable energy sources to reduce the dependence on thermal power plants. Tamil Nadu will purchase about 6,000 megawatts of power across April and May through its distribution arm Tangenco. States like Gujarat and Haryana will opt for the 10% of imported coal as advised by the Power Ministry. Goa plans to purchase 120 megawatts of power from the open market so it can be supplied to industrial units. Maharashtra state-run Mahagenco set a target to generate 8,000 megawatts of electricity. So the question that arises now is, should we be looking at a solid alternative to coal already? A move to a more sustainable and renewable source like solar, wind, hydro, geothermal or biomass energy will definitely help in the long run. Over the years, many states have added renewable energy capacity. Last year, India added 128% more renewable energy compared to the previous year. Rajasthan added an energy capacity of about 5,800 megawatts and Gujarat added almost 2,500 megawatts in just last 12 months. Interestingly, India is the fourth largest solar power producer in the world. Rajasthan has the highest amount of solar power with almost 10,700 megawatts. This is followed by Karnataka with about 7,500 megawatts, Gujarat with almost 6,400 megawatts, Tamil Nadu a little less than 5,000 megawatts and Telangana at almost 4,500 megawatts. On the hydro front, India has a potential of about 250,000 megawatts. However, hydropower has not been used to its full potential in India due to various constraints in the sector. The country also has the fourth highest wind installed capacity in the world with a capacity of almost 40 gigawatts. Bottom line is, India is doing the best it can to make a shift to more better renewable energy choices. But the demand is so high right now that all of this is still falling short. So it's high time now that we all make more conscious choices for a greener future. If not for the sake of global well-being, at least for the sake of our health, wealth and pockets.